Alright, what is up, you guys? I am here with the WWE 2015 pay-per-view ranking. So, 2015 overall was a mixed bag. You had an incredible WrestleMania, and you had a decent build-up to WrestleMania. It wasn't anything special. SummerSlam was great, and then it kind of flip-flopped, honestly. Like, you had a good pay-per-view here, a bad one there. To me, there's really only one, really bad pay-per-view for 2015, so that's not bad. But let's get to that bad pay-per-view. So first up, dead last, Survivor Series 2015. Survivor Series is my favorite pay-per-view. So generally, that's the most excited I get in the year, more than WrestleMania or anything like that. And this was just bad. You obviously had the tournament to determine who your next WWE champion would be, and which saw the two finalists being Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, and then Sheamus just ended up cashing in Money in the Bank anyway. And this was one of the big selling points was the Brothers of Destruction versus the Wyatt family, kind of celebrating 25 years of The Undertaker. As you can see, it's highlighted on the front there. But overall, this is just a really weak pay-per-view. Really not a standout match on the card. Next up, we have Payback 2015. Really cool cover. Your main event was the Fatal 4-Way match with Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Randy Orton. And, it had some good spots in the match, honestly. But really, other than that, really was nothing that special. And then we had John Cena and Rusev in the I Quit match. So we were still kind of riding off of WrestleMania a little bit here. It's a decent match, at best. But really just nothing special at all on this card. Next we have Fastlane. We had Sting making an appearance to kind of answer Triple H to continue with their rivalry. You had Bray Wyatt in a good segment to lead up to the Undertaker match. And then you had John Cena and Rusev. Nikki Bella versus Paige for the Divas title. And then your main event was Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan for the number one contendership. And this was a good match. But this very much is kind of a one-match show. But yeah, really, it's a good main event. But other than that, it's just kind of there. And then, the only reason this piece of shit is not dead last is because it had a phenomenal triple threat title match. Absolutely breathtaking triple threat match. Probably the best triple threat match since WrestleMania 20. So, obviously, we had the main event, not the main event, but your WWE title match being Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, and John Cena. That was it was a great triple threat match. And then, of course, you had Roman Reigns in the infamous Royal Rumble match here. And, no, that's not why this is a bad pay-per-view. This Rumble really just didn't feel all that special. Really wasn't very star-studded. You had The Rock try to come out and get Roman Reigns over, and not even he could do it. But overall, it just didn't really capture what the Royal Rumble should. It's similar to 2014 in a lot of ways, where it just didn't capture what the Royal Rumble was all about. And next up, we have Extreme Rules 2015. We had a lot of good DVD covers in this year, I'll give it that, but that's about it. We had, here's a good example, the Kiss Me Arse match with Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler. We had John Cena and Rusev in a Russian chain match. Roman Reigns and Big Show, Last Man Standing. Seth Rollins and Randy Orton, steel cage match for the WWE title. This was back when we still had a lot of gimmick matches for Extreme Rules, but none of these matches really delivered on a high degree. It just kind of felt like this pay-per-view was just very average and honestly nothing special. When you have all these gimmick matches, you should be able to get the crowd really into it, and it just feels like kind of a big loss for that pay-per-view. It's not a bad pay-per-view, though. Next up, we have the very rare Elimination Chamber 2015. Yeah, this is very much a one-match show. We had John Cena versus Kevin Owens, who was NXT champion at the time, in an absolutely phenomenal match. Seriously. And then we had Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. That was a pretty good championship match. And then we had, of course, your Elimination Chamber match for the Intercontinental Championship, and one of the worst chamber matches in history. Yeah, it's not, it's not like December to Dismember bad, but it's just a very uneventful chamber match. And, you can see your contestants on the front there. Next up, we have Battleground. Really cool cover here. I always really like that. Really kind of gave you that big fight feel. And this continued on with the John Cena and Kevin Owens feud, putting on another great match. We had Roman Reigns facing Bray Wyatt. And then your main event was Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Kind of your, I guess you want to call it a fallout from WrestleMania 31. Brock Lesnar getting his big rematch. And, this match kind of went to what felt like a no contest because The Undertaker appeared to kind of restart the rivalry with Brock Lesnar. It's a good main event, but I wish we saw a definitive win at least and then have Taker come out. But I get it. You want to cost him the title and everything. But overall, not a bad pay-per-view. Next up, we have Hell in a Cell 2015. Right here, Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker in their, presumably, their final match together. This was a great Hell in a Cell main event. It's probably my favorite, just absolutely my favorite Hell in a Cell match from the modern or PG era. I prefer a more barbaric, bloody, violent Hell in a Cell match. It's what it should be. It's what it's designed to be. Hell in a Cell was never designed to be a PG environment. And this didn't feel like a PG Hell in a Cell match. It's always been my problem with a lot of Hell in a Cell matches. They're just thrown together, no rhyme or reason. Kind of like Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt on this. That's not a rivalry that deserves a Hell in a Cell match. But The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, they damn sure deserve a Hell in a Cell match. And my favorite Hell in a Cell match is actually their first one from No Mercy 2002. And, maybe they even topped it with this one. We also saw Kane and Seth Rollins, and then John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio, who was returning. And, I think this is a pretty good pay-per-view. I actually really enjoyed it. Next, we have TLC 2015. We saw your main event being Sheamus and Roman Reigns for the WWE World title in a TLC match, which a lot of people were just kind of shitting on it before it happened, and it turned out to be a pretty damn good match. We also saw the New Day versus the Lucha Dragons and the Usos in the Triple Threat Ladder match. And just the amazing spot from Kalisto. Just absolutely breathtaking when I first saw it. It's stuff like that that really elevates a ladder match. Like when you actually see someone trying. That was awesome. We also saw Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose Intercontinental Championship. And overall, this was a better pay-per-view than a lot of people thought it was going to be. I really wasn't looking forward to this at the time, and it kind of blew it out of the water in terms of expectations. Next up, we have number 4 on the list, SummerSlam 2015. If you'd like to see my whole review of this one, of course, I did all the SummerSlam reviews. So this one should be a lot higher in terms of just match quality and everything, but booking on this show was very strange. and just kind of pisses you off at times. You had a great match with John Cena and Seth Rollins. Of course, Jon Stewart comes in and just ruins it. Why? I don't fucking know. It was awful. But we did have a great main event with The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. You know, this is what the WrestleMania 30 match should have felt like. And then, of course, you have this great match the whole way through, and then just a screwy finish. But what are you going to do? It felt like Vince Russo, honestly, was hired for this pay-per-view. We also saw Neville and Stephen Amell versus Stardust and King Barrett in a surprisingly good match. We saw Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. Another solid match. So, yeah, this, like I said, this could have been so much higher if just the booking was so much better. It's just, this easily could have been the second best pay-per-view of the year. Next up, I'm going to put Night of Champions. One of my favorite pay-per-view covers they've done in recent memory. Of course, you had Seth Rollins doing double duty, pulling the WrestleMania 10 Bret Hart. Of course, he faced John Cena for the U.S. title. And then right after that, faced Sting in what would be Sting's final match, for now, until the Saudi Arabia money kicks in. And, it was a pretty good main event. I enjoyed this match with Seth Rollins and Sting. It's one of those pairings that doesn't sound like it should work, but it really did. And we also saw Kevin Owens and Ryback. And just, it's a very solid pay-per-view in a lot of ways. And Seth Rollins really was the MVP of this pay-per-view. So, we also saw the Dudley Boys, too, in action. So, next up, number 2 on the list, we have Money in the Bank 2015. Really cool cover there with Dean Ambrose. So, once again, we saw John Cena and Kevin Owens. And, once again, they did not fail to impress. They were absolutely good match. We saw the Money in the Bank ladder match with Sheamus winning. I'm not the biggest Sheamus fan, personally. I know some people are. But I thought maybe someone else could have won, but whatever. And then we had a Ryback and Big Show. We had the New Day versus the Primetime Players. And then your main event, the ladder match for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was a damn good match. Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, continuing on with the rivalry. And a solid main event. And, just Money in the Bank really kills it year after year. I've always said, kind of like in the past, decade, Money in the Bank really hasn't had a bad pay-per-view. So I think 2016, I put that at number 1. So I probably would for 2011 too. Spoiler for the 2011 ranking. But number 1, best pay-per-view for 2015. It's not going to be anything else. It's got to be WrestleMania 31. No question. This is one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. Just an absolutely phenomenal WrestleMania. It's not my favorite. Nothing's going to top WrestleMania 19 for me. Even like WrestleMania 8, I still love that WrestleMania. But for this one, I think in terms of in-ring quality, it is literally, you could put it up there with the 17 and the 19. You had John Cena and Rusev. You had the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship with Daniel Bryan winning. Great opener. You had Sting and Triple H. Very fun match. Very gimmicked match. But, say what you want about the booking. The only reason Triple H won that match was because they were setting up The Rock and Triple H at WrestleMania 32. So, in a way, it makes sense for Triple H to look strong here. And then you kind of set it up a little bit with the segment later on with The Rock. And then, this pay-per-view, literally not one match didn't deliver. Every match on this card had a reason to be there, and it delivered. You even had Seth Rollins and Randy Orton, a good exhibition match. Great. Just a really cool ending with the curb stomp to the RKO. Never forget watching that for the first time. And then your main event, everyone was shitting on it. It was supposed to be so horrible, and it turned out to be a classic WrestleMania main event. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Now, I'm not a Roman Reigns fan. I didn't want to see him in the main event of WrestleMania. But this match blew the expectations out of the water and then some. Even the match itself is great. And then when you add Seth Rollins cashing in Money in the Bank, I'm sold. This was an epic moment and an epic WrestleMania, and there's no way this is not number one on everyone's list. WrestleMania 31 is a kick-ass show. It's one of the few pay-per-views that I've rated an A+ on this channel. So, yeah, at a time in 2015 when the WWE product was not all that great, WrestleMania sure as hell delivered. So I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Definitely give me your list down below. For now, this has been the DVD Freak. Peace out.